Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Read from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, 18th chapter, text 47. Their books are available. Sahacham karma kaunteya. Sahacham karma kaunteya. Sadosham apinatyachet. Sadosham apinatyachet. Sarvaram bahitoshena. Sarvaram bahitoshena. Turnenagnirivavritah. Tumenagnirivavritah. Sahacham karma kaunteya. Sadosham apinatyachet. Sadosham apinatyachet. Sarvaram bahitoshena. Tumenagnir ivavritah. Sahacham. Born simultaneously. Karma. Work. Kaunteya. O son of Kunti. Sadosham, with fault. Api, although. Na, never. Tyachet, one should give up. Sarva aramba, all ventures. He, certainly. Doshena, with fault. Dumena, with smoke. Agni, fire. Iva, as. Avritaha, covered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Translation. In conditioned life, all work is contaminated by the material modes of nature. Even if one is a Brahmana, he has to perform sacrifices in which animal killing is necessary. Similarly, a Kshatriya, however pious he may be, has to fight enemies. He cannot avoid it. Similarly, a merchant, however pious he may be, must sometimes hide his profit to stay in business. Or he may sometimes have to do business on the black market. These things are necessary, one cannot avoid them. Similarly, even though a man is a Shudra serving a bad master, he has to carry out the order of the master, even though it should not be done. Despite these flaws, one should continue to carry out his prescribed duties, for they are born out of his own nature. A very nice example is given herein. Although fire is pure, still there is smoke. Yet smoke does not make the fire impure. Even though there is smoke in the fire, fire is still considered to be the purest of all elements. If one prefers to give up the work of a Kshatriya and take up the occupation of a Brahmana, he is not assured that in the occupation of a Brahmana there are no unpleasant duties. One may then conclude that in the material world, no one can be completely free from the contamination of material nature. This example of fire and smoke is very appropriate in this connection. When in the winter time one takes a stone from the fire, Sometimes smoke disturbs the eyes and other parts of the body, but still one must make use of the fire despite disturbing conditions. Similarly, one should not give up his natural occupation because of some disturbing elements. Rather, one should be determined to serve the Supreme Lord by his occupational duty in Krishna consciousness. That is the perfectional point. When a particular type of occupation is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, all the defects in that particular occupation are purified. When the results of work are purified, and when connected with devotional service, one becomes perfect in seeing the self within, and that is self-realization. Sahacham karma kanteya sadosham apinatya chet sarvaramba hidoshena durmen agnir ivavritaha. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Om agyati maranyasya gananchana salakyam Chakshurun militam yena tasma shri gurave namaha Sichatani manobhistam stapitam yena bhutale svayam rupa kadamayam dadati svabadantikam Anchakalpadrubhya cha kripasindhiveva cha patitanam pavanebhya vaishnavebhya namo namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this chapter 18, in the previous verses, Krishna described the different occupations and qualities of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. And but then in yesterday's verse, he mentioned 47, where is it? 47. It is better to engage in one's own occupation even though one may perform it imperfectly than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Then continued, connected with yesterday's verse, switch off your phones. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. So in this material world, everyone has a material body, otherwise we cannot function, especially in the human form of life. And although human form of life is very rare amongst the 8,400,000 species, after long time of evolution, the soul comes ultimately to the human species. And amongst the human species, there are civilized men and there are uncivilized men. There are different characteristics based on the modes of material nature. Actually, the modes of material nature are everywhere in the material world, and therefore every embodied soul in the material world has to accept a material body composed of these three modes of material nature, sattva guna, raja guna, or tamaguna, or also mixed with each other. And so in this way, one receives different bodies of life, elevated ones, and also lower ones who are in tamaguna. But the human form of life has a special privilege because it is on this point where we have free decision. Actually, all other embodied living entities in the material world have no free decision because they get their forms like an animal or even demigod because of their previous lives. Only the human being can make a decision to either elevate yourself to higher forms or higher realms, or attain liberation, or even go back home, back to the spiritual world, to stay there eternally as an eternal servant of the Lord, Krishna, Narayana, Vishnu, Rama. So there are different realms in the spiritual world where the Lord is residing in his different forms, with his different devotees, eternally enjoying blissful leelas or pastimes with each other. So the human life has therefore the opportunity to make choices for elevation or for degradation. That's stated also, I think, in the 14th chapter of the Gita, that those who are in Sattva Guna, they elevate themselves. Those who are in Rajas, they will stay in the human form. And those who are in Tamaguna, they will become degraded to the lower species of life, to animal species and lower. So therefore, every human life has a duty, especially the civilized, the uncivilized. They're mostly hunters, they live in forests, in jungles, in the mountains. Kirata, Unantar, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Yavana, Shumba, Yavana, Kashadaya. And there are different kinds of uncivilized beings, un-Aryans, who are not following the direction given by the Vedas. But Shukadev Goswami, he says, even the uncivilized, when they associate with the devotees of Lord Vishnu, because Lord Vishnu is Prabha Vishnu, he's very powerful, he's very influential, he's like a touchstone, so he can purify even somebody who is very impure, who is imperfect. Materially, we cannot attain perfection. Although we try, or in history, everyone tried to be perfect philosopher, perfect businessman, perfect king or president or ruler of the world, perfect servant. But actually all of them, they had some mistakes. Still they were happy in their occupations because they had some juice in it. Living entity is searching after juice. We don't like dryness or inactivity or laziness. Laziness is a devil's workshop. So a living entity is full of life. It is searching and looking after juice, after rasa, because living entity is part and parcel of the Lord, and the Lord is full of rasa. He has all rasas, but he relishes with his particular devotees in all different kinds of flavors or mellows. He is enjoying. Therefore, he's Rasika Shekhar. He's the king of the enjoyers. So the devotee, or actually every living entity, has this enjoying spirit, this spirit for happiness, for relishing something. And this is called svabhava. Svabhava. So we all have a certain quality, certain nature, svabhava. So the svabhava nature of ultimately of all the living entity is to be an eternal servant of Krishna. But because we come in contact with the material nature, we are accepting different natures in sattva guna, tama guna, and raja guna. And we are developing according to that certain qualities and certain characteristics and activities. So this is natural. So therefore, naturally, somebody from the previous life takes birth in a Brahmana family, in a Kshatriya family, a Vaishya family, in a Shudra family, in an outcast, so-called outcast family, who is uncivilized. So we cannot change that. We cannot change our birth. The birth is the birth from this life. But we can actually, Narad Muni in the 7th canto, 11th chapter, the last verse of that chapter, he says, we cannot see who is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra just because of birthright, just because he is born in such a family. We cannot rubber stamp a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. One will see them according to their characteristics, according to their activities. And according to their activities, somebody is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, not according to birth. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, everyone becomes very proud on his birth, as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, maybe not a Shudra, but as a Kshatriya or as a Brahmana, or in a famous Vaishya, wealthy Vaishya family. Someone becomes very proud, although one has no qualification for it. One has qualification for actually something low to enjoy. Actually, Varnashram is not meant for enjoyment, it is meant for elevation, that we all find our proper occupation according to our nature, guna and karma, Krishna pointing out. According to guna and karma, one is known as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, not according to birth. So this Varnashram is actually created by Lord Vishnu, by the Purusha himself. In the beginning of creation, Varnashram system is also established from the very beginning, and it penetrates the whole universe through the disciplic succession and the different descendants of Brahma, who is the highest Brahmana in the universe, with his sons, the Shabda Rishis. He's disseminating this, the whole civilization of humanities and also animals and different species. They're emanating from Brahma and from the Rishis. And so in this way, the whole universe is occupied on different levels of different living entities who are in different species of life. And some are Brahmanas, some are Kshatriyas, some Vaishyas, some Shudras. And then higher as the Brahmanas are the Brahmanas who are not attached, who are more advanced in Vedic knowledge. Higher than that one is the one who is detached from materialistic activities and who came to the highest knowledge. And better than that, the Brahmana is the Vaishnava, who becomes a devotee of Krishna. A Brahmana who is not a devotee of Krishna is actually not considered real Brahmana, because Brahmana means he who knows Brahman. Brahmana Brahmana means he who knows Brahman. And the supreme Brahman, the source of Brahman, Brahmana hi pratishtaham, is Lord Krishna. He tells in the Gita, I'm the shelter, I'm the cause of the Brahman effulgence. And I'm the cause of everything. Everything is emanating from me. Everything is manifested from me. Aham sarvasya prabhava matak svam pravartate itiva matva pachanti mam buddha bhava samanvita. So everything is manifested by him, and therefore this whole creation by the Lord, by the Purusha, has a purpose to ultimately find shelter at his lotus feet, ashraya. Therefore the 10th subject, highest subject of all the Puranas, and also the Bhagavad Purana, is to find shelter in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's Ashraya. He's the supreme shelter. He's the supreme shelter of everything. Of Brahma, Shiva, Indra, all the demigods. What to speak of the kings and brahmanas in this world. Everyone is actually a servant of Krishna. As Lord Chaitanya said, that we are all servants of Krishna. This is our Svarup, this is our nature. So temporarily we may accept different functions and become servants of somebody else in this material world. But ultimately, as long we don't realize that we are servants of the Lord, then everything will be a failure. So therefore the whole Varnashram is actually meant to realize Krishna. Svanusitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. So Varnashram is meant to realize Krishna, to surrender to Krishna, to realize Him. So, but we have to still understand we cannot, reject our material nature. Everyone has a certain material nature. In the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna what is better, the one who is Jnani, who wants to attain Brahman, knowledge about Brahman, or the one who is active in Karma Yoga. So Krishna recommends Karma Yoga is better than Jnana. Both is good, but ultimately the one who comes to Jnana after work, after pious work, forming Svadharma for a long time, for whole life, for many lifetimes. Svadharma parinishthaya janmalabha param pumsham ante narayana smriti. He comes to the knowledge that Narayana is everything. So it is the goal is Narayana, and the Varnashram duties are meant to realize Him, to work for His pleasure. Therefore Krishna says the one who is acting with all his senses in Karma Yoga, he considers better than the Jnani, who wants to become artificially renounced and rejects everything and doesn't perform any activities. So better one performs activities according to one's own nature, and ultimately in this way one can realize the self. If one ignores one's own nature, how we can realize our own eternal spiritual nature? So therefore we cannot, it's not recommended to artificially perform some occupations and activities according to our own whims, our own desires, because it sounds better. Or I like it more. So therefore, for example, Arjuna, he was a Kshatriya, but he was put in illusion by Krishna's energy. So he forgot his Kshatriya nature, to fight, to be bold, to be heroic, because he was challenged. So he should not stop to fight or reject the fight and think, so now better I take up the occupation of a Brahmana. So what is the Brahmana's occupation? Brahmana occupation is 6. Actually 3. He studies the Vedas, he worships the deities or performs yagya, studying the scriptures, and giving in charity. These are the 3 occupations. Multiply 2. That means he first learns, then he teaches. So that's called yachana, patana, patigraha, dana, and patigraha. So he's he's studying the Vedic scriptures from Guru, and he's teaching Vedic scriptures. He learns how to worship deities and teaches how to worship deities, or he learns how to perform yagya for pleasure of Lord Vishnu, and he teaches this process. And he is accepting dana, that means charity, and he is giving in charity. These are the 6 occupations of a brahmana. So a brahmana, he can accept donation. A king, it is described in the Bhagavatam, he cannot accept donation. He can accept all other processes of the brahmana. That means he can worship deity, he can study the scriptures, but he cannot accept charity. That means he cannot go begging. And he will never become the dog of somebody. That means he never will take the occupation of a dog, of a servant. He will always stay in the position of a kshatriya. He will not degrade himself, and he also doesn't want to become a brahmana by accepting donations. So therefore Arjuna's attempt to retire from his kshatriya work to fight and to kill, because he was challenged on the battlefield, is condemned by Krishna. He says this is not mentioned and accepted by the scriptures or recommended by the scriptures to give up your duty as a kshatriya and instead become a brahmana, and you start to beg. That you should not do. You should better your work as a kshatriya and become glorious, even if you make faults, even if you make mistakes, even if you perform unrighteous things, because it is your work, it is your duty. Ultimately, you become benefited. Even if you die on the battlefield, you become at least elevated to the heavenly planets. And if you fight for me, you will become you're joining me. You will become my eternal servant. So therefore, Krishna encouraged Arjuna not to give up his handwork, his job as a kshatriya, and therefore he should engage in this battle, even if it is faulty, even if it is not according to his whimsical idea that to commit violence and to do harm to others, even to his own family members and superiors, because this was caused by the material nature of Hridaya Daurbalyam, caused by weakness in the heart. He had some doubt, and therefore Arjuna, he became puzzled, he became bewildered, and therefore he didn't want to fight. So Krishna therefore encouraged him to perform your duty, even faulty, because everything has a fault. Every activity is like fire, is covered by a smoke, but the fire is still there. It's not polluted. The nature of the fire is still there, despite this so-called pollution of the smoke. It's a byproduct. Therefore, every activity in this material world has a byproduct. We're making mistakes. This is natural for conditioned souls. We're making mistakes, we're in illusion, and so on. But we cannot give up, therefore, our job. We have to follow our duty, our Swadharma, because by following Swadharma, we'll become purified. One will find out the self ultimately by proper action. Even though it is maybe for a Brahmana, he cannot kill, he cannot steal, he cannot lie. But the kshatriya can do it in the war if there is necessity. It is not against his dharma. a Vaishya can trick. He has some ways how to trick to make his sales and his profits. That we heard. So that is very natural for these occupations. Here in the 7th chapter of Bhagavatam, moment, I have to find it. Here, I wanted to read you how Narad Muni is explaining this point what we have here. He says in the 7th canto, 11th chapter, text 17, except in a time of emergency, lower persons should not accept the occupational duties of those who are higher. When there is such an emergency, of course, everyone but the Kshatriya may accept the means of livelihood of others. Purport. The occupational duty of a Brahmana should not be accepted by persons in lower social orders, especially Vaishyas and Shudras. For example, an occupational duty of the Brahmana is to teach Vedic knowledge, but unless there is an emergency, this professional duty should not be accepted by the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas or Shudras. Even a Kshatriya cannot accept the duties of a Brahmana unless there is an emergency, and then even if he does so, he should not accept charity from anyone else. Sometimes Brahmanas protest against our Krishna consciousness movement for creating Brahmanas from Europeans, or in other words, from Lechas and Yavanas. This movement, however, is here supported in Srimad Bhagavatam. At the present moment, society is in a chaotic condition, and everyone has given up the cultivation of spiritual life, which is especially meant for the Brahmanas. Because spiritual culture has been stopped all over the world, there is now an emergency, and therefore it is now time to train those who are considered lower and condemned, so that they may become Brahmanas and take up the work of spiritual progress. The spiritual progress of human society has been stopped, and this should be considered an emergency. Here is solid support from Narad Muni of the movement known as Krishna consciousness. Then next verse. In time of emergency, one may accept any of the various types of professions known as Rita, Amrita, Amrita, Brahmrita, and Satyanrita. But one should not at any time accept the profession of a dog. The profession of Uchashila, collecting grains from the field, is called Rita. Collecting without begging is called Amrita. Begging grains is called Mrita. Tilling the ground is called Pranamrita. And trading is called Satyanrita. Engaging in the service of low-grade persons, however, is called Shvavriti, the profession of the dogs. Specifically, Brahmanas and Kshatriyas should not engage in the low and abominable service of Shudras and lower. Brahmanas should be well acquainted with all the Vedic knowledge, and Kshatriyas should be well acquainted with the worship of the Devas, and also the Supreme Lord, of course. As stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, Chaturvarna Mayashishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. The four divisions of human society were created by the Supreme Lord according to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them. Formerly, the principle of dividing human society into four sections, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, was strictly followed, but because of gradual neglect of the Varnashram principles, in Kali Yuga, Varna Sankara population developed and the entire institution has now been lost. In this age of Kali, practically everyone is a Shudra, Kalau Shudra Sambhava, and finding anyone who is a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya is very difficult. Although the Krishna consciousness movement is a movement of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, it is trying to re-establish a divine Varnashram, Daiva Varnashram institution, for without this division of society, there cannot be peace and prosperity anywhere. Then, next verse. The symptoms of a Brahmana are control of the mind, control of senses, austerity and penance, cleanliness, satisfaction, forgiveness, simplicity, knowledge, mercy, truthfulness, and complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the institution of Varnashram Dharma, the symptoms of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas are all described. The ultimate aim is Achyut Atmatvam, to think always of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means in all the occupations, in all the varnas and ashramas, to think and act for the pleasure of the Lord ultimately is the goal, is the aim. Aim means goal. Krishna or Vishnu. To make advancement in Krishna consciousness, one has to become a Brahmana with the above mentioned symptoms. Next verse. To be influential in battle, unconquerable, patient, challenging, and charitable, to control the bodily necessities, to be forgiving, to be attached to the Brahminical nature, and to be always jolly and truthful, these are the symptoms of a Kshatriya. Being always devoted to the demigods, the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, endeavoring for advancement in the religious principles, economic development and sense gratification, dharma, art and kama, believing in the words of the spiritual master and scripture, and always endeavoring with expertise in earning money, these are the symptoms of the Vaishya. Offering obeisances at the higher sections of society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, being always very clean, being free from duplicity, serving one's master, performing sacrifices without uttering mantras, not stealing, always speaking the truth, and giving all protection to the cows and the Brahmanas, these are the symptoms of a Shudra. This is everyone's experience in the purport, Prabhupada says. It is everyone's experience that workers or servants are generally accustomed in stealing. A first-class servant is one who does not steal. Here it is recommended that the first-class Shudra must remain very clean, must not steal or speak lies, and must always render service to his master. A Shudra may attend sacrifices and Vedic ritualistic ceremonies along with his master, but he should not utter the mantras, for this may be uttered only by the members of the higher sections of society, I mean the Brahmanas. Unless one is completely pure and has been raised to the standard of a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya, in other words, unless one is a Dvija, twice born, the chanting of mantras will not be fruitful. So here, that's very nice, this section, 11 chapter, 7 canto, and also further. Narad Muni speaks about different duties and characteristics of the Varnas and the Ashramas. He speaks these words to Yudhishthira Maharaj to guide him as the king, because he became the king to rule the world, from Hastinapur. So he gave him proper guidelines and proper directions. Bhishma Dev similarly also gave him directions on the battlefield of Kurukshetra after, on his deathbed, pierced by arrows, Krishna sent Yudhishthira and the Pandavas to grandfather Bhishma, who was lying dead on the battlefield, waiting for the opportune time, proper time to give up his body. So, and there Bhishma, he gave, first of all, he pacified Yudhishthira Maharaj, because Yudhishthira, he blamed himself for all these people, warriors, who had to die on the battlefield. So he was very sorry, very sad, he was very depressed. So nobody could pacify him, not even Krishna, no sages, Vyasadeva could not pacify him. No sage, his own guru could not pacify him. So Krishna, he brought him to Bhishmadev. And from Bhishmadev he heard these words, pacifying the words of Yudhishthira, that he should not blame himself. This is all destiny of Kala, the time, and higher destiny. Nobody can influence the time and the destiny. So this is natural. So therefore, it is not your fault. You just became instrumental in this work. And then he also instructed him in the duties of the different varnas, ashramas, different dharmas, Shudra dharma, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahmana, Stri dharma, all these different dharmas he explained. It's a very elaborate description in Mahabharata, in the full edition, where Bhishmadev gives this full instruction about the different duties. But here in Srimad Bhagavatam we have a summary of these duties by Narada Muni in the 7th canto, beginning from 11th chapter, where he describes the different duties and activities of the varnas and ashramas. So, and then it is ultimately he concluded one can only realize who is Brahmana, certain varna and ashrama, according to the activities. So we have to be honest and stick to our activity, not try to imitate, because imitation is always faulty. It will not satisfy the soul. Dharmas vanustita pumsham vishvakshena katasuyat nopadi yadyadiratim shrama eva kevalam. Because any occupation who is ultimately not performed for the satisfaction of the Lord, even faulty, according to our varna and ashrama, all these activities should be performed for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Haritoshanam. And we should not be driven or forced by false ego to accept different occupations and thinking that they are better, or I can perform better, and then we fall on the nose. In the beginning maybe it looks good, later on it looks not so good, because it doesn't correspond with our soul, with our self, with our nature, and then we dry out, we become frustrated, we become Mayavadi. And that's happened. If we neglect our own nature, inner nature, and also occupational nature, corresponding with our inner nature, we become Mayavadi. We become neglective. We become impersonal with other people, and we have no more connection and contact with the reality. So therefore, Varnashram, Dharma, and also Daiva Varnashram, as pointed out by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, is very, very important, so that devotees, even as devotees, will learn how to be properly situated without false motivation, without considering, oh, maybe this is better. We should not have the choice. Guru makes the choice. Guru tells us how we should be occupied. And we should surrender, Sharanagati. We should surrender to the instruction of Guru, who is engaging all the devotees in the different occupations according to our nature. Of course, sometimes it's emergency, then the general, it's like in a war, then everyone has to go on war, everyone has to become a soldier, then we have to go on Sankirtan, we have to go and distribute books, we have to preach, we're going out to the people. So, this work is still going on, but nowadays so much Sankirtan, so much preaching, so much book distribution is done. We also have to establish the Varnashram. We have to also establish our own spiritual life, our Swadharma, our Swabhava in relation to the Lord. in the same time also not reject our own nature. We have to accept this nature and find out what is the proper nature, where I can be best in the best way effective. Like an eye. The example is given. An eye cannot suddenly think, I don't want to work as an eye anymore. I want to be mouth now. Because as mouth I can enjoy better. As eye I only can see, but the tongue he can taste. So what the eye will gain, when it starts to be the tongue, to relish the food through the eyes, it's not possible. Vishnu can do it. Angani asa sakalendere vriti manti pashyanti pante kalayanti chiram chakanti. He can do that because he can with any sense do whatever he likes. He can eat with the eyes, with the ear. So that's Vishnu, but we cannot do that. So we have to therefore find out what is our occupation, what is the best nature. How can I function the best for the mission of in the mission of Lord Chaitanya? Etavachamma sapalyam, that's Lord Chaitanya saying, instruction to all his devotees. Etavachamma sapalyam ihinam dehi No, I have to start again. Etavan chamma sapalyam ihanam ehe dehishu pranairata diyavacha shraya acharanam sata. So we have to attain this human form, and now we should use this human form how to help other embodied living entities in this material world to find out the Shreya Acharya, the highest benefit, the highest goal of life. And this we should do with our body, with our prana, life energy, because as long prana is in the body, there is life. When prana is out of body, that is considered dead. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to say, those who have prana, they can preach. If you have no more prana, you cannot preach. Then you are dead. So therefore, as long as we have prana, we should use this prana for the Sankirtan, for the preaching, for expanding Krishna consciousness, helping others to connect with Krishna. Prana, artha, our achievements, our qualities, our profession, our money, all this should be used for expanding the mission of the spiritual master and of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And buddhi, the intelligence, diya, intelligence should be used, how to making plans, how to expanding in newer ways, according to the time, place and circumstances. That's Acharya will do. He uses intelligence and according to spread Krishna consciousness in time, place and circumstances. And vacha, using the words in speaking about Krishna and about devotional service and connecting all the living entities, especially in the human form of life, with Sanatana Dharma, with the eternal occupation. So Lord Chaitanya instructed everyone. He was the gardener of the Sankirtan tree, desire tree, and he instructed everyone to participate with body, mind and words in his mission to distribute these fruits of love of Godhead to everyone. Prite vite achyate nagaradi gram prachaiva hoipa moranam. Go in every town and village and spread this Krishna consciousness. Parate bhumite hoile manusya chanma chara chanma sarta takari karak para upakara. Everyone born in Bharatvarsha should use this opportunity and do welfare work. That means upakara, the highest welfare work, to give Krishna consciousness to others. This is the duty of everyone. Therefore, we always say Sankirtan devotee or book distribution or puchari and all these services Prabhupada has given us they're not necessarily, how we say, occupations on the material platform. They're actually spiritual activities, although done on the material field. But because it is done with consciousness, therefore it becomes spiritual. We cannot say it is material. So somebody thinks, oh, you Hare Krishna people, you are very materialistic because you have always so many buildings and you want to build more and more temples and want to have more and more temples and distributing books and have so many cars and so much money flowing in your institution. And your people, you are very nicely dressed and give a lot of attention to your kind of dress and makeup and behavior and how we say, appearance. So that this seems to be very material to me. But Srila Prabhupada is actually pointing out in the third canto, 28th chapter, I think, 28th chapter of the third canto, Kapila Dev, what is actually material and what is spiritual. In Sankhya, Kapila Dev, he teaches Sankhya Yoga. He teaches bhakti connected with jnana. That means with knowledge. Sankhya. Sankhya means knowledge. It means analyzing the material nature. Analyzing ultimately what is spiritual and what is material. What is eternal and what is temporary. This we can all learn from Lord Kapila Dev in the third canto, in Sankhya Yoga, in his Daiva Sankirtan Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Daiva Sankhya Yoga. Can we also say Sankirtan Yoga? That's another thing. So there, Prabhupada in the purport, he says, somebody criticizes we are materialistic, the devotee is materialistic because we give so much attempts to the external. We are not so much meditative. Some sampradayas, they're very meditative, they renounce everything and they just absorb in bhajan. We hear them here in Vrindavan, everywhere you go, you hear these ragas and these bhajans. It's like liturgic worship, bhajan, like in the church. This is one way of bhajan, but it's very highly elevated. It's respectful. But we should not think that the activities in Krishna consciousness, building temple, expanding Krishna consciousness, having car, giving dress, like Babaji doesn't care for dress. They put their whole body in dust from the Vrindavan. So for them this is decoration, it's an ornament, it's Sachitanand, it's Krishna himself, it's as worshipable as Krishna. But the devotee who is engaging, actually everything is Krishna, everything is the Purusha, all the material ingredients in the yagya, what the Brahman actually uses in the yagya is the Purusha. There's nothing else in the Purusha. And how you show thankfulness to the Purusha? By offering him all the ingredients what the Purusha supplies, what he actually gave to you. And why the Purusha is doing that? Not because he needs it from you, for your own purification. It's for our own purification. Because if we are not connected with the Purusha and doing worship to the Purusha, that means yagya, for the satisfaction of the Purusha, then we become sinful, we become degraded. So therefore, human form of life is meant to be for yagya, as a sacrifice. We have to sacrifice our body, our mind, our words, our intellect, our possessions in the yagya. And the supplier of the yagya and all the ingredients for the yagya is Lord Vishnu himself. We are beggars. We have nothing. We have nothing in possession. We only can accept that what Lord Vishnu is providing us. But if we are accepting something for our own self and not engaging it in the Vishnu yagya, then Ishopanishad says, then you are a sinner. And we become sinners. And we become criminal. But if we are engaging all the ingredients in the service of the Yagya Purusha, then these material ingredients, what seems to be Maya or Prakriti, becomes para. It becomes transcendental. And actually only an Acharya, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then self-realized Acharya can reveal this to us. Therefore, in Gaudiya Vaishnava, especially in the line of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are accepting the Daiva Varnashram. We are not rejecting Varnashram. We are accepting it because it is favorable for devotional service. Others they reject. They're accepting Varna, Ashrama, even Sampradaya they reject. They're making their own way of meditation. Because I think Sampradaya and Varna and Ashrama, this is all material. But ultimately, I'm servant of Radha or Krishna in eternal Ras, and therefore I don't have to accept all these things anymore. Okay, if you're really there, that's good. But if we are artificially try to be there and we are not there, then we are cheating ourselves. And then, therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was very much against this artificial renunciation, or already thinking yourself on a platform of rasa with Krishna, although you're not there. That's even more sinful or criminal than to try to imitate something, another varna or ashrama. So we have to be honest and always under the guidelines of the spiritual master and learn from him how to use the ingredients of the material creation of Prakriti, the 24 elements, how to engage it in the service of the Yagya Purusha. Therefore this is yoga. Then it becomes yoga. If we enjoy it for ourselves, these 24 elements, then we become a criminal. We fall on the criminal department of Durga, police lady. And if we are engaging these ingredients, 24 ingredients, what the Lord supplies, then that means all the senses, the material elements, the subtle elements, like that, the sense objects. So there are 24 altogether. If you are engaging them for the pleasure of the Sankirtan Purusha, then everything becomes purified. And this is the purpose of Yagya. Prakriti or material energy is Maya, is illusory, she is darkness, but she is not useless. She is not useless. We have to only learn how to use this Prakriti, this material nature, in the service of the Purusha. Therefore there is Prakriti in Purusha, 13th chapter also describes. We are also Purusha, but we are very tiny, very, very insignificant. But there is Purushottama. Therefore the 15th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita is Purushottama Yoga, where one is learned or teach how to engage everything for the pleasure of the Supreme Enjoyer. Supreme Enjoyer is Purushottama. Leela Purushottama is Krishna. Lord Jagannath is the Supreme Enjoyer. So we have to do service for him. We have to do yagya for him. And if we do yagya for him, then we become satisfied in any occupation. Even if it is not your occupation, if you are engaging in the Sankirtan yagya, you become satisfied. And that is ultimately what the soul wants, to be satisfied, to be happy, to become joyful. But we cannot find it in the material world ultimately, because material world ultimately is a mixture between happiness and distress. Real happiness is not to be found. It's only mixture of happiness and distress. And so it's therefore not very much enjoyable. Because 1 minute you can enjoy, but the next minute you already know distress will come. Therefore, a devotee is always alert, when there is too much enjoying coming in his life. He thinks, he's alarmed, when will the distress will come, So, because distress is programmed already. and we try to enjoy, especially independent of the Lord. As soon we try to enjoy, then we are in trouble. Like Kunti Devi, she prayed, "Oh Krishna, now you want to leave us. Now we are the kings. Previously always remained with us. Because we became betrayed, we became cheated in so many different ways by our own family members, the Kauravas. But because you were always on our side, everything, they could not touch a hair of us. They could not do any violence to us, although they tried. But because of your presence, you always protected us. But now you want to leave us. And then my problem is, if you leave, you create a more worse problem. What is the worst problem? Krishna leaves. Krishna is not with us anymore. Now we have everything. We are in peace with everyone. Everyone is allied with us. Everyone is connected with us. We are in harmony with everyone. We have prosperity. We have everything what we want. The whole world is bowing down to us, even the demigods, to Yudhishthira. But now you leave us. So it seems to be the Lord is only present when we are in catastrophe, when we are in difficulty. And when we are in peace and harmony and prosperity, Krishna leaves. Therefore, Kunti says, better to have this misery again and again, so that we always feel your presence. So that is the devotee's mentality. He doesn't want to have a kingdom of God without God, or a paradise without Narayana or without Krishna in it. So he wants Krishna in his life. Krishna is the center. Ante Narayana Smriti. Ultimately, always remember Narayana or Krishna, the Supreme Narayana, in all the times, not only in the time of death. That we can actually remember Narayana or Krishna in the time of death, we have to already teach it now, learn it now, and to become conscious about it, because the consciousness is something that we attain due to our activities. Due to our activities and contact with the material nature. So if we are contacting with always tamaguna and something unholy, not connected or related with Krishna, then of course, how you think I will remember Krishna in the time of death? It's not possible. No. To remember Krishna in the time of death, we have to be completely purified. Or Krishna's mercy has to be there. But how we can attain Krishna's mercy if we cheat ourselves and cheating others? Krishna's mercy is here, even if we are faulty, even if we are mistaking, or even if we are imperfect, but we try the best, honestly, from our side. Then Krishna's mercy can be expected. It's even guaranteed. Krishna's mercy is guaranteed. So therefore, we always, the devotee always honestly tries to engage in the Sankirtan mission without cheating Dharma. Cheating Dharma is rejected in the Bhagavad-Gita. Dharma kaitavatra paramani matsaranam satam vedya vastanam tapodrayo mulanam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless Purana. It kicks out cheating Dharma, Kaitava Dharma, Paradharma, Upadharma, and all these different kinds of Narada Muni also lists them in his teachings to Yudhishthira Maharaj in the 7th canto from 11th chapter. This list of the different Apadharmas are all described there, about 10 in number. And paradharma means also cheating, to perform an occupation or an activity that is actually done out of false ego, just because of prestige or because I like it. So in the first place of devotional service is not I like it, Krishna and Guru likes it, and therefore I do it. And if you do it like that, then although in the beginning maybe we don't like it, we will like it because Krishna likes it. Guru is satisfied. Vaishnavas are satisfied. Tasmin tushta jagat tushta. Everyone becomes satisfied in this way. But if we try to satisfy ourselves, Like the eye try to eat itself the food, we become frustrated. We try out, become Mayavadi, impersonalistic in behavior. Because we are not surrendered, we are not working in harmony with the Absolute and with his representatives. That means representative means actually this whole material energy, and especially the Vaishnava society who is in this material energy. We have to learn how to cooperate, how to work without becoming bound up by Prakriti, by the modes of material nature. We always blame Prakriti. Maya is the problem. No, Maya is not the problem. We are the problem. Because we are misusing our little independence in the wrong way, and then naturally we fall under Prakriti, under the Maya. But if we actually surrender to the Maisha, that means the Lord of the Maya, the Lord of Prakriti, the cause of Prakriti, then we are relieved. That's freedom. This is the Mukti. But Mukti is not perfect as long as we are not taking shelter in Krishna's lotus feet. Arui Krishnena param patam tata patantyata yushmat angraya yenera vindaksha vimuktamanina dvayasta bhava vishuddha buddhaya. Brahma praise. If somebody claims himself, I'm liberated, I'm free, or I know the absolute truth, I know God, I know Krishna, without actually surrendering to Krishna, he is actually wrong in his understanding, because we cannot understand Krishna on our own. It will become revealed. It becomes revealed by Guru Sadhu Shastra. Therefore, only by faith in Guru and following Guru instruction and reading the scriptures under his guidelines and accepting the mood what the Guru is setting, the Acharya, then we become perfect. That is actually perfection already. The Acharya sets the mood for us. We have to not find out our own mood, our own way. Everything else already given. We only have to find out the way, our place in it, in the plan what Prabhupada has given. And then everything else will come perfect. Then Krishna will recognize you. Don't imitate other sampradayas, other moods. There are so many different moods of Vaishnavas, and also mantras and different ways of how they worship Krishna. But we should not accept their mood. We should accept the mood revealed and given by the Acharya, what Prabhupada has given us. Acharya Man Purusha Veda. Because the Acharya, he knows the absolute truth. He is the representative of Krishna. Sakshatari Dvana Samasta Shastrair Uktastata Bhavyata Eva Satvi. He is Sakshatari. He is direct representative of the Lord. And by serving him, everything will be revealed. Tasmin Tushta Jagat Tushta. What is the verse? Sarvam Vigyata Sarvam Vigyata. He who knows the Lord by the mercy of the spiritual master, he knows everything. What means everything? He knows everything what he needs for his devotional service. What is the use if you know everything, but if it is not usable in your devotional service? It only will be, I would say, bothersome. A lot of information what you don't need. So therefore we should not be necessarily eager and greedy to accumulate so much knowledge, but I can ultimately not use in Krishna service. Therefore a Vaishnava should only accept that knowledge from Guru and receive that knowledge of Guru and Krishna what he can use in Krishna service, and this way become expert. Try at least to become expert, although it's not possible. But expert ultimately means to surrender with love and devotion, and then even if it is faulty, Krishna is accepting. And Krishna is not looking after faults. He sees even one little good thing, and that he magnifies thousands of times. Good. I'm stopping here. Hare Krishna. Maybe any question? No.
You mentioned Swabhava and Swarupa, and correct me if I'm wrong, heard nature in both. Is there a difference?
Svabhava is your psychological nature. Svabhava.
Yes.
And what is the other? Swadharma. Swarup. Swarup. Swarup is your spiritual identity in the service of Krishna. Unchangeable. And Svabhava is your psychological nature, subtle nature, what you carry with you since many lifetimes. This is Svabhava. This is a program, like a software. In the computer software, you can transform the software from one computer to another one. The body you may change, but the program from your past computer you will have in your new computer. Yeah. Right? So that's the Svabhav. So that means you carry a certain impression, a certain consciousness from previous life to the next life, to this life. And this life consciousness, accordingly, you will carry to the next body. It's like fragrance. Like on a car, different fragrances are carried wherever he goes, bad smelling, nice smelling. So the car is carrying these fragrances with him. So the soul takes the fragrances, this svabhava, from the subtle body with him, from one body to another. But Kapila Dev, he says, by the yoga or connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if you connect with him, then he will act like a fire. And with this fire of bhakti, even mixed with jnana, it doesn't speak on that point about the pure bhakti, but bhakti mishra, bhakti mixed with jnana, that means with yoga perfections, with yoga, Astanga yoga, or Sankhya yoga, analytical yoga. That means still with the help of intelligence, performing certain rules and regulations of yoga practice. And even if you do that, but you're connected with bhakti, that means with the Supreme Personality of God, with the Purusha, then your subtle body will become, burnt. It will become, neutralized. Now, because of our subtle body, because we carry the aroma of this life's consciousness and activities with us, and even from last life, if this is not purified, then we will carry this program with us to the next body. That actually will give us our next body.
So we're trying to purify the svabhava.
We have to purify our nature of svabhav to make it spiritualized ultimately. We don't have to change the nature. We have to only change the consciousness. The consciousness, by using the nature in the service of the Lord. This is called Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagya Uchate. Or Ihayasya Haredasya Karmano Manaso Gira Nikhilapya Vastasu Jiva Mukta Uchate. Those who are engaging their body, mind and words in devotional service to Krishna, they are already liberated souls in this body. Don't have to wait for liberation. You are already liberated now if you are engaged in the liberated position. You hear this in lectures of Prabhupada again and again, and also in his purports. Your liberation is already starting here. You should not wait on liberation after. Like a prisoner. A prisoner is still in prison, but he cannot come out of the prison if he doesn't show up with proper behavior, that he of improvement and regret of his crime. Then they let him go out, after some time. But if they see that you still have not a good character, no change, even if the time of release will be there, they say, no way, you're still acting a criminal, we prolong your prison for 7 years more. Yeah, so we have to learn the lesson, and for that we have this opportunity in the Sankirtan Yagya. And in this age, Sankirtan Yagya is the only Yagya that is functioning. That's the only sacrifice, and it's easy to perform. It's not costly. Prabhupada always says, chanting Hare Krishna and going on Sankirtan is not costly. It doesn't cost you any money. Anyone can take it up, this chanting. It's for free, and you immediately will come in contact with transcendental sound vibration, Krishna, who is not different from Krishna. He's Chintamani. He's completely spiritual, transcendental, Nitya Mukta, Nitya Shuddha, completely pure, Nitya Mukta, Pinatvam Nama Namino. It's not different from Krishna. So if you're engaging with this Nama Chintamani, with Krishna's holy name, then naturally will become purified, first of all. And not only purified to become a non-person or Brahman effulgence, merging in Brahman, but actually you will become established in your eternal, according to your eternal nature, who is now shrinked. Now the conditioned soul has shrinked consciousness. It's covered. It's like fire in the wood. It's not manifested, but fire is in the wood. It only needs a technique, to kindle the fire with the friction. So in the same way, the consciousness, Krishna consciousness, is actually dormant. It is in a sleeping, covered condition, in a seed condition. But by hearing and chanting about Krishna, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Karyodaya, this consciousness becomes awakened. It becomes manifest. It becomes like a friction of the firewood, of the fire stick, kindling stick. So you make with this kindling stick, you make a fire, and ultimately that purifies everything, and also ultimately destroys the kindling stick. That means the subtle body and the gross body ultimately becomes completely purified. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate, so that even if you are in the material world, Prakriti will not harm you anymore. It will not harm you anymore. It only harms you if you still remain selfish desires according to modes of material nature. Then automatically you're, hooked up. You're hooked up practically with the Prakriti. You're imprisoned in it, like ropes, guna. And as soon as we are actually connect through Sankirtan, through Yagya, offering our lives in devotion, either in bhajan or in following the mission and the instruction of spiritual master, both have the same result. But in this age, Bhagavad Marg, that means hearing, chanting about Krishna is essential. Pancharatrika Vidhi, following rules and regulations of the deity worship and temple life, is secondary. So, but our acharyas are accepting Pancharatrika Vidhi, that means rules and regulations and temple worship as secondary, parallel chain with Sankirtan. And if you have both parallel, then the train to the spiritual world will be very nice. Because with Sankirtan, it's the most powerful, but we still can, we need the security of the Pancharatrika. It's like a support. But we should not make, the mistake is if we make too much emphasis of Pancharatrika, and then we only think about that and forget Sankirtan. Sankirtan should always be the center, but we also accept Pancharatrika as the purification force, because by deity worship and temple life, one becomes purified. But if you only become purified and you're not engaging in hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, it will not be ultimate success. Therefore, deity worship always and temple life means remembering Krishna in all your functions and processes you perform in the temple. You do it for Krishna's pleasure. And then you act as a servant of Krishna, according to a certain service what the spiritual master has given to us, or what the temple authorities who are representative have given us. And the spiritual master, he knows how to engage us nicely. That's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a nice example of Lord Chaitanya. There were three followers of Lord Chaitanya. They came from Srikhanda. It's a village in Bengal. I don't know if it still is a village, maybe it's a town now, but sorry, I never was there. You were there? Srikhanda. So in Srikhanda, there were three. One was an Ayurvedic doctor. His name was Mukunda. Other one was an Pujari. It was his son who had inclination for deity worship. His name was Raghunandana. And the third one was Narahari Sarakar. So these three devotees, amongst others, they went to Lord Chaitanya every year, get darshan. And Lord Chaitanya encouraged them, yes, you, Narahari, you should engage always in Nam Sankirtan, because he was an expert Mridanga and Kirtaniya singer and Mridanga player. So Narahari, you should be always engaged fully in Sankirtan. You Raghunandana, you should completely dedicate your life in deity worship. And you, Dr. Mukunda, you should always engage in Ayurveda and healing the people's material and spiritual diseases. So that was the three occupations that Lord Chaitanya defined and encouraged to these three devotees whose swabhav, their mentality, other was a nice singer and musician. Okay, you should always engage in Sankirtan, glorifying the Lord with music. You are a doctor, you should cure people materially and spiritually. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that you can make spiritual practice successful, you need your body healthy first. Body is like a vessel, like a jar, like an earthen cup, So it has to be healthy. Otherwise, the soul and spiritual life you cannot practice nicely. So therefore, we need good health. We need also psychological balance, health. That's the second. The third one is social relationships. And the fourth one is then absorption in spiritual activities according to guidelines of the Shastra, the scriptures. It means if we have not these three things, studying Shastra will be difficult. And to follow Shastra will be difficult. So we need these first three things. Therefore, good health and helping somebody to become strong for devotional service, this is very nice. If we only become healthy and then forget devotional service and think I'm healthy now, so I'm not going on devotional service anymore, so I enjoy my health now, then what's the use? Then we become sick again anyway, because that's already programmed. So the devotee, even if he is healthy, should not think, oh, now I'm healthy, so now I can do whatever I like again and I can enjoy it. Then he should use the health and engage it in spiritual activities. And the other one was the Pujari, Raghunandana. So he became Pujari. He was worshipping deity regularly. He had an inclination for that. Other one had an inclination for helping people's body to become cured. Gross way and subtle way. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya gave different occupations to other ones, and no one of them was envious on the other one. Oh, why I'm Sankirtan, or why I have to be a doctor and he can be a Sankirtan? Oh, I also like to sing. So therefore, I learn more singing and like the traditional way of bhajan and ragas and kirtan. I also become a kirtaniya because I don't want to be a doctor. So then ultimately he will not be happy, because even if you're a doctor, you can become very happy because you are engaged according to your mentality, to your nature, to your swadharma, to your occupation, and also to your internal mentality. How we call it? Svabhav. So actually, occupation is given according to our svabhav, to our psychological nature. Okay? Any other question? Yeah. Because I mentioned Ayurveda.
No. Everything is clear, but I still don't understand how can I purify my consciousness and use it in service to Krishna if my svabhava is different from my swadharma. Or maybe I don't understand it.
Yeah, then you have to find out how to engage your mentality in proper in Sankirtan Yagya, so that it will really become purified. Otherwise, we're externally we're functioning in a certain way, but internally we completely dry out because our activity is not fully corresponding with our mentality. So, of course, if your mentality is sinful, and you think, oh, I prefer to be sinful than to be pious or engage in devotional service, then this is nonsense. That's the first thing what we have to rule out. Therefore, we need rules and regulations, yama and niyamas. In Krishna consciousness, we also have yamas and niyamas, favorable rules and unfavorable rules. This is yama and niyama. Prabhupada says if you don't follow yama, then you follow under the punishment of Yamaraj, Yamaduta. He is the Lord of Yama, of ruling you out, straightening you out. So we have the choice either to become straightened out by Yamaraj or become straightened out by the guidelines of Guru and Shastra. So that's our choice. We have to rule ourselves out. We have to become straightened. Therefore, we need surrender to spiritual master and the scriptures, and honestly, without cheating propensity, without tricking, and without fear, to ask questions and how to make progress according to my psychological nature, how I can be engaged properly in service, in bhakti-yoga. And don't be in false ego, because if you're on false ego, then purification will not take place, right? Priya Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami says, gives the example of the Vrindavan trees. Vrindavan trees, you see them, they're all bowing down to the sand of Vrindavan. They're low, they're lowering down. And he says that's the mood. They're always humble. They're always meek and humble. This is the mood how to approach Krishna. The trees were like that, like in the western trees, were very high in the sky. They're very easily breakable. But the tree who bows down is not breakable because he is always completely meek and humble, always taking shelter in the dust of Vrindavan. That's needed. Therefore, he says the devotee is always simple and meek and humble. And that's the safest way to get Krishna's mercy. The mercy of Vrindavan Dham, you can get in this way. And there's no other way. Everything else is only driven by pride, jnana, and karma. And if our mentality is driven by pride, karma and jnana, because karma and jnana leads to pride, makes us attached, and we become proud because of our karmic results or because of our knowledge that we have. And therefore, this can be disqualification. But the question is then, better than we give it up. No, we cannot give it up because we have inclination for karma and for jnana, so we have to engage it in Krishna service.